Let's do all the missions in Armored Core 6 with S rank, using melee. This is going to be a hell of a lot of fun, so let's get into it. Just quickly, as our cinematic ramps up, I would kindly ask if you find yourself enjoying this series or getting some value out of it, maybe leave us a comment or a like, and if you really think we deserve it, a sub would go a long way.
We're close to Rubicon. Wake the dog up.
Handler Walter verified. Activating cerebral coral control device. Augmented human C4621 has awakened.
Time to get to work, 621. I'm powering down your entry capsule. On my signal. Now, activate the AC.
Descent to ISB 2262, Rubicon 3, complete.
Your position is grid 135. Off target, but within permissible range. There's a catapult ahead. Use it to close the gap.
So, the very first mission of Armored Core 6 is very unique.
Main system activating combat mode.
In that it's the only mission where you cannot use your own custom loadout, so this is the only one we'll be running without the fabled pokey stick. It's also, if we don't count the New Game Plus or New Game Plus Plus missions, possibly one of the hardest ones.
Perfect chance to test your AC.
The reason for that is the great filter, the helicopter boss that these streamers so loved on launch weekend. But I'll let that speak for itself as we get to it. Its initial section here is essentially just a glorified tutorial teaching you about multi-lock, about how to move around while, taking out units.
Your AC's taken damage. Patch it up. See the contaminated city down there? That's where you're landing.
And now for one of my probably favorite cinematics in the game. Strangely enough, it happens right at the beginning, but there's something so Evangelion about this catapult when it locks you in and just launches you. It's like, yeah, let's go intercept those angels. So the key, if you don't know, behind S-ranking missions, for most missions, time is the most critical factor, so going from objective to objective and simply getting things done.
Time to fly, 621.
It's not so much about conserving ammo or not being hit.
If we get our hands on Rubicon's coral, we'll make a killing. Plenty for a merc with a fried brain like you to buy their life back.
So, point to point, let's shave as much time as we can.
Back to work. Scavenge the AC wrecks ahead and find a valid mercenary license. We're illegals here. You'll need ID to operate.
An AC? Where the hell did that come from? Affiliation unknown.
Follow the markers.
Do you also find it strange that you need a license to operate on the fringes of known space as a mercenary on a planet that's just being scavenged by various companies of like dubious legality? You know? It's an interesting mechanic.
They've got shields. Good thing you've got a blade.
So technically, guys, we are still a melee build for the first mission, right?
Extract the pilot data. I'll analyze it from my end. This one's already
Thomas Kirk will not do.
Keep looking.
So this is the most efficient route that I found through this mission. Ultimately, it doesn't matter so much. There it is. The great filter arrives.
That's the PCA's planetside force. Keep a low profile. We don't want them breathing down our necks.
It's so interesting because the first time I played this, I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what Rubicon was, what the PCA was, but watching this back is...
Corp license, easily traced. Forget it.
It's kind of nice, actually, and I hope that you enjoy it in the same way. Being able to watch the game without having both hemispheres of your brain occupied trying to, you know, finish the missions, being able to absorb the story is kind of its own reward. It's almost like watching, I don't know, Evangelion or Ghost in the Shell or something like that. You can just take in the fairly nuanced and somewhat obtuse narrative. So we're not going to go up on that catapult. That would take us to the Great Filter. We're not quite ready for that just yet. Going to take out these drones with our missiles and enjoy this while you can, because I don't run missile launchers, so this is the last time you will see them in action. I'm kind of enjoying them myself.
You're outnumbered, 6-1. Use your missiles.
It's far easier than doing this with melee. I think ads, missile launchers are great for ads, really. But there's something about playing this game through with melee that makes it so thrilling. Not that we'll be purely melee, mind you. There is going to be a Zimmerman involved, which may as well be melee, and a Songbird for those enemies that are slightly more impossible to kill with the pokey stick, which you'll definitely see in the new game plus missions when we have to fight the rollers, or the grinder wheels, I think they call them in this game.
It's still valid, but the pilot's rank is no good. We can't use this. I've picked up one more wreck, 621. Transmitting marker. Go and check it out. You can use that vertical catapult to get some altitude. That's it. Try accessing the wreck.
2 repair kits remaining.
Here it is. The moment of truth. The Steam refund detector.
RB23. Rank fits the bill. Call sign. What? Looks like they were onto you after all. No mood to pick a fight with the PCA. But it doesn't matter. Take it out now, they won't have enough to ID you.
So this is more or less the key, gents. Keep it close. When you run out of energy, stay behind the building. Get up close to the chopper. Don't rush it when it's firing at you like this. This is just me getting lazy. But try to stagger it if you can, and if you hit it with the blade while it's staggered, life's good. But it's very difficult to stagger it with the MG and the missile launcher. They're not particularly strong, so just trying to stand on one of its side pods. You can kind of balance there, even when you run out of energy, but I didn't quite manage it there. So that pipe doesn't quite double back as cover. If you stand under the chopper, you'll be okay, and just hit it with the blade as often as you can, because it's the only weapon you have that does any real damage here. Here we go, this should be our final charge, I hope. No, not quite. We have staggered it, so maybe... Yep, finished with an MG, how embarrassing. And there goes the Great Filter, the great boss of our time. It's not so bad once you learn it, I promise.
Confirmed. Heavy combat helicopter is down. That's all for our work here today, 621. Here's the call sign from that license you picked up.
Raven. Alright. Connotations to the past.
That's your new name here on Rubicon.
I'll take it, Handler Walter. And that is how you S-rank the first mission of Armored Core 6. Let us move on. So this is our first mission with our actual loadout, as you can see, very nice.
Here, who does this job? As long as it gets done.
Going for our construction colors / Ava Zero, whichever you prefer. One thing that's very unfortunate is that I guess if you want to call it meta melee build for the campaign is one of the worst looking cores you can build. I really don't enjoy the aesthetics of this.
Rubicon Liberation Front's artillery placements.
But you can't argue with the results.
We've got a corporate merc! Onto us already, sneaky bastard!
Zimmerman and a stun needle. I know. Super inventive. This is a good way to sneak around the side so you don't go full frontal on the cannons.
That's one of the artillery
Come out right behind them and just take them out very neatly. Very easy to do. This has been a no-hit run so far, would you believe it? Or close to, anyway.
There! That corporate dog!
Next to impossible to do a proper no-hit run as a melee build. You get animation locked as the lance winds up, and there's just no chance to dodge when that happens. It's a very Souls-like element, isn't it? It's the hallmark of modern gaming. It's how we define difficulty now, as locking someone into an action and then praying for the best. I come from a bit of a different era where I suppose mech games were very clunky, the Battletech series, MechWarrior, but I used to play a lot of Quake 3 Arena and Tribes, which was all about fluidity of movement and snappy movement, so these kind of slow animation locks, I never quite adjusted to them even though I've had 20 years to do it. As you can see, this mission is fairly straightforward, just point to point, objective to objective. I don't really need to be killing these guys, but, you know, gotta have some fun. The idea is just scoot around, use the high walls for cover, go behind the cannons so you don't get blasted full frontal, and then just take them out. Well, apparently not. There's only so far one can flank.
The artillery here and our work is over.
So, I should have shotgunned that one. I don't know what I was thinking. Because you can shotgun it and keep flying, and I could have just hit this guy. But, whatever. Doing the melee thing, you know. So, an S-rank run really doesn't have to be a perfect run. It just has to be a reasonably efficient run. And there are those animations and the movement I was talking about, so this is what's going to constitute the majority of challenge in these runs. Not so much the, I don't know, the difficulty of the missions themselves, but more just the awkwardness of the movements. And there we go.
All targets destroyed. That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
Look at us in all of our not so aesthetic glory. So, our third mission, Grid 135 Cleanup. Possibly the most abruptly shortest mission.
Now you need a rep.
I mean, who wasn't surprised?
Get their attention, 621.
Mop up a few MTs, a helicopter or two, and it's like, well done, 621. Mission complete. Like, really? You sorted me for this?
Main system. Activating combat mode.
It still feels like a bit of a
Command's mission.
glorified tutorial section.
The Dafeng MT squad.
I think it's mostly to get you familiarized with the factions in the game and how little they care about how much you murder them, because they'll just employ you again the next round.
Archivist group hired some muscle.
That's right, I was running a plasma missile launcher for this, just because it made mopping up the mobs so much easier.
Just mass-produced
There you go.
MTs.
I do occasionally
Wipe them out, 621.
run a missile launcher, as you can see. Trying to get that guy up there. Not quite. Not sure why I'm trying to like avoid hits in this. Its speed is far more important, so I would suggest that to you is if you're doing this and you're watching this, don't take your time like I did, just rush in and just, you know, get rid of everyone.
Archivist really scored this time.
Only a few targets left.
Missile launcher really makes the mobs so much easier. Look at that. Great AoE on the plasma launcher as well.
621, wait. I'm picking up new enemy signatures. Looks like reinforcements. Eliminate them.
If you're ever wondering about why my movement seems so jittery, is because I'm a mouse and keyboard purist, so I do apologize. I just find it so much easier to play. Being a tournament shooter guy, everything's all about flick reflexes and whatnot. There it is. The glorious 135 cleanup.
The enemy MT squad has been eliminated. That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
So, the Destroy the Transport Helicopters is possibly the first mission you encounter, well, other than the first boss.
My name. Keep building your rep.
Possibly the first mission after the first mission that has any degree of challenge, and that's in the form of the tetrapod, because when you don't have this build, actually with the default loadout, it's a little bit challenging. I remember having quite a lot of trouble with the MG and the missile launcher.
Activating combat mode.
Tetrapods are of course easy with the right build,
Mission.
so we're not
Destroy the Rubicon Liberation Front transport choppers.
going to struggle at all.
Transport chopper down. Keep it at 621.
I think it's still obvious at this point that I hadn't quite grasped the idea that S ranks were done by getting the mission completed as quickly as possible. I'm still running through and taking out squads, even though I don't really need to, so I would suggest that you can just bypass many of these. So, you might notice me changing my right shoulder slot, and that's because I consider it the wild card. I will alter it depending on what I feel the mission needs. In this case, the Songbird gives me AoE, as well as really great stopping power, so it's going to be good against the Tetrapod, as well as against all of these ads. So that's why we're running the Songbird.
Destroyed.
Also has way less energy requirement than the Stun Needle, so you can run different loadouts with it. You can run lighter loadouts with it if you so wish. But of course it lacks the single target stopping power of the Stun Needle, which can be arguably considered to be rather broken in the current state of the game. Songbirds are also great for the shielded enemies because they do the stagger plus, you know, stagger them then take them out, 1-2. And here we go. Mission is almost complete, believe it or not. That's what I love about the early game. It's cruisy, you know, it's enjoyable. So I'm hiding here not to get completely annihilated by the tetrapod. Almost took that rather large missile to the face.
It's a cut above the other MTs. Ignore it and focus on the mission.
Scan range not so good. Here we go. Ah, got my melee in before he did. There we go. The big stagger and the pile bunker finish. The photo finish across the line. So a good melee build will really just cruise you through this game.
You're unnatural at this, 621. Looks like you got them all. That's it for this job,
There it is. Attack the transport helicopter's S rank. Everybody's favorite loadout building mission now. Destroy the tester AC.
Maybe a product sample, but it's still an AC. Stay sharp, 621.
How many times have you run this mission? I would say it's possibly my 250th time while building these loadouts. It truly is. It's the best credit farm early on, and it's the best way to refine your loadout early on as well. So we have a really nice thick generator on this.
We've got a read on the target.
So let's see
Now's the time, 621.
if we can do this in one smooth movement.
We're under attack!
Okay. Alright, and
I just wanted to call sign of my own.
bro got buried. That poor Dafeng student pilot.
Destroyed. That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
This was the mission that made me realize that the dual melee build was the best single target build in the entire game, very clearly, for obvious reasons. Attack the dam complex, the easy version, quote unquote easy version. So
Gun 13, huh? I'll stick with 621. Don't let the red guns teach you bad manners.
so that you know, we'll be doing all of the NG plus and NG plus plus variants of these missions as well. So in case you haven't gotten there, in case you don't want that spoiled for yourself, just a heads up. But this is the vanilla version of the mission.
Main system activating combat mode.
Balaam Group AC Squad Red Guns reporting for duty. Commence mission. Attack! Get in there, you maggots!
Great. An independent merc. He's the wise guy who decided the red gun should be taking care of some freelancer.
Who gives a shit? We'll handle this mission ourselves. One target destroyed.
Hey, freelancer. But no one even told you why we're here. Well, us real red guns are gonna go climb the wall. This is just target practice. When we're done, the locals' little base is next.
Gun 5! Can't take yourself away from chatting with a tag-along? Why don't you start a sewing club together and stitch that damn mouth of yours shut?
Lots of chatter in this mission. Otherwise, very simple with a melee build.
How about that? Guess you're not a total amateur.
Good for. Can't say I considered you a pro either. We don't need backseat drivers in the red guns. Shape up or ship out!
So
Takes care of the front
this
line
is where it
teams.
delineates in the alternate version of the mission.
Look alive, maggots!
You get the option to backstab your teammates here, which turns this into a far, far harder mission than this.
Don't wet your pants now. Does this guy ever shut up?
Gun 5! No luck with the sewing club, I see. That attitude won't get you far on Rubicon. Hope you'll pilot better than you sew.
As you can see, you don't need to take out the tetrapod on the outskirts of this level, the combat log one, in order to get S rank on this mission. You can simply go straight for the objectives and do it. I'm not even sure whether you have to take out the piloted AC that comes up very shortly, but I did, just in case. Or I'm about to, rather. I'm not sure why I'm mopping up the ads, to be honest with you. I guess back at this point I didn't realize the importance of doing a mission quickly in order to secure S rank, but you don't really need to do this. You can go straight for the objectives, fly up there, just take everyone out, so no need to bother with this stuff.
Do you hear me, you corporate vultures? The Rubiconians will never yield. You're going home in armored coffins. Forged in ash, we stand as one! Hot dog, I got an AC.
Or like an old piece of junk. It's barely different from an MT.
Gun 4! You're not exactly cutting edge either! You want to be next on the scrap heap?
The aforementioned melee animation issues, making making themselves very visible in this battle. Quite frustrating, I must say. So, quite a lot of it here. We finally get him. That should have been a single rotation of weapons to handle that, unfortunately, but luckily this mission is very forgiving.
Now hurry up and destroy that stick.
And that's us done.
All targets destroyed.
Looks like my good for nothings were good for something after all. Field trip's over. Got 13. I'll keep that lucky call sign open for you.
And now for the far more difficult variant of this mission. Should be exciting. Attack the Dam Complex, alternate. This really caught me by surprise.
Gun 13, huh? I'll stick with 621. Don't let the red guns teach you bad manners.
I had no idea that this was how the other game modes delineated from the campaign, but it was a really nice touch, I found, to kind of experience a different take through the campaign. But you'll see what I'm talking about soon.
Activating combat mode.
This quickly becomes the most difficult mission in the early game.
Attack! Get in there, you maggots!
Great. An independent merc. It's the wise guy who decided the red gun should be taking care of some freelancer.
Who gives a shit? We'll handle this mission ourselves.
One target destroyed.
Predominantly it's because of G4 Volta, because his core has so much AP, it's very difficult to whittle it down, and has such great stagger resistance as well. So even for a melee build it becomes quite a challenge.
Gun 5. Can't tear yourself away from chatting with a tag along.
As you can see, running through the mission much the same as before. So I've run quite a few more S missions by this point, so you can see that I'm getting through it a little bit more quickly because I kind of understand what the score is now.
That takes care of the frontline MTs.
And here is where it all changes.
Look alive, maggots!
Wait, 621. I'm receiving a coded transmission.
Raven, I represent the Rubicon Liberation
Love to fly like that.
Our request is simple. We want you to take out the 2 red guns. Our compensation will be double Balaam's offer, awaiting your response.
Interesting. Your call, 621.
Can't turn down free money.
Your cooperation is appreciated, Raven.
Mercenary life, baby. Let's do it.
621. We've received a friendly ID tag from the Liberation Front. Let's not waste their firepower.
There's that animation stuff again. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the main issue behind running a melee build in Armored Core. So he will dodge between the first and the second lunge with the laser lance. Extremely frustrating. This is when the animation does actually lock in the first place. Double team now. Have to be very careful. Very easy to die here. Especially when you can't guarantee your hits will connect. Lord knows I'm trying.
AP at 30%.
Almost. Almost. So you can see stagger doesn't really mean much of anything here. Just...
I've been hit bad. Freelancer got
It was definitely a slugfest.
Iguazu, how many ranks below you is Gun 13? You can count, right? Don't take too long figuring it out, it's a lot. You dumbass, Iguazu. You talk the talk, but you can't walk the walk.
Right shoulder ammunition at 50%.
So to me, I would say that this is the most Souls-like element of this game. It's in the sense that, for me personally, I've never considered Souls games to be challenging in a traditional way. I find them challenging because I find the movement is gimped and awkward. So it's sort of like a bizarre, artificial form of challenge, as you can see in these two battles, rather. So I'm just struggling to do what I'm intending to do because of the game mechanics, and that is, I guess, what I don't know, modern game designers consider challenge to be. It's interesting, certainly. That was just bad play on my part. Man, the dodging I'm having to do here just to survive, it's crazy. So there we go. I had to do a really quick pile driver shot there just to make sure I connected. And then the Zimmerman.
Gun 4 and Gun 5 eliminated.
The Zimmerman brought it through for us.
You can bill me for the AC repair fees, Michigan.
You've ruined our little field trip, Walter. I'll be billing you for tuition fees, too.
Michigan's not very happy with us, but that's fine. He'll forgive us soon. These people have very short memories, it appears. Back to our regularly scheduled normal missions. We have destroy the weaponized mining ship. Everybody's favorite mission.
Time for a little self-promotion, 621. Smash the Strider, and Arquebus HQ will be sure to remember your name.
This one is interesting because once you learn it, it becomes one of the easiest missions in the game, and it has this strange sort of fun to it, this flow that you get into just destroying the generators and then the eye. It can be a good way to test certain builds.
Transmission. First, get through all that dust and make contact with the Strider.
Unidentified AC. Must be one of the corporation's dogs. Activate the eye. Burn them away. Yes, sir! Coral! Abide with Rubicon! Abide with Rubicon.
What does abide with Rubicon mean? Is that just one of those, like, amazing Japanese translations to English? So if you ever want to try this build yourself, I will have a link in the description below. I call it the 3-punch man.
Burn you to ash.
Except for when you're facing G4 Volta and G5 Iguazu, then it becomes like a 25-punch man. Because they keep dodging.
Bring it to a halt.
So pretty easy, just blast the leg here. I'm not sure if I'll make it with melee, will I? I get one hit, that's not bad. There we go, the pile driver made it. That's really why we keep the pile driver. It's not so much to hit enemies or mobile opponents. It's to hit bosses, it's to hit
The harder they fall.
certain mission elements. Dodge the leg. Dodge the... Oh, man. Ouch. Luckily, no damage from that.
AC pilot's no rookie. We can't take any chances. Double the
I think this is one of the most uniquely designed missions in the game.
Head to the midship 621 and don't
Very
let them
cool.
go.
We can't take the enemy AC!
Alright. Gonna make the most out of losing my energy. I'm gonna pretend I did that on purpose. Yeah, I always wanted to get the generator at the bottom, you see. That's why I went down there.
Sub-generator destroyed.
I'm gonna take the leftmost generator first.
Go.
We've got one on the left, one on the right, and one on the top. And the one on the bottom, we just took care of. So have to watch out when you get up here because the laser cannon will do what it's doing right now. So if you expose yourself too much, it can be very painful. That one Zimmerman shot will be enough. There it is.
Lost another sub-generator!
And
2 to go.
traverse it down below.
Remember the hardships that made us.
We have a high energy capacity generator, which is helping us a lot in this mission. A lot of people think you need to run a tetrapod here. You really don't. It's like, I don't even consider it. Tetrapods are a great way to keep yourself exposed and visible and just like die immediately.
Just one left.
Because it turns out if you float in the middle of the battlefield, everyone can hit you all the time. Right?
Defend the ship with your line!
Go on. Come on, movement. You can do it. There we go. Lucky last. And now I forgot. I was like hiding here expecting the eye to hit me. Now the question is, how are the hitboxes going to handle this from melee? Here we go.
Time to finish this 621.
Alright, that's 2 hits that made it. Alright, pile bunker didn't work. That kind of almost worked. Kinda-ish. So, yeah, once again, you can see the challenges implicit in melee builds. So I just hit nothing. I wasn't too thrilled to take that salvo point blank, but, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it would be nice if FromSoft would look at that issue, if you consider it an issue. Some people consider it a design consideration. I consider it extremely janky, personally, but, you know, it is what it is.
Move 621. You need to get clear of the Strider.
And now we get one of the coolest explosions in the game, in my opinion. Make sure to never look at it, guys. Cool guys never look at their explosions.
Never think of planet. Combined with Robocon.
See that, 621? The Strider's blowing itself up. A fitting end for something built to fail.
This is the only time my PC crawls down to about 50 FPS, is like during this scene. From a locked 120, it's quite something. And now we go for the immensely more difficult version of this mission. I hope you're ready. This is without a doubt the single hardest mission in Chapter 1 to S rank with a melee build.
Chose the Liberation Front, did you? Whatever works to get your name out there. That's the benefit of being independent.
If you think you've seen movement jank to this point, you have no idea what awaits us in this mission. It is unbelievably unfriendly to melee builds. Let's do it.
Main system activating combat mode.
Commence mission. Wait, someone's already attacking the ship.
What is that thing?
I love the storyline twist in this though.
Enemies on the radar. 621, they're coming.
Now the key is jump straight into the dust cloud, go straight for these guys before they get a chance to dodge.
Not Schneider MTs.
Speed is everything in this mission. Speed is everything. This next part is what makes this so unbelievably difficult for a melee build.
Alientus machines. We'll take them head on, 621.
Songbird is our greatest asset here. Somehow shot straight through the middle of those two.
We've got more incoming. Way too many for a chance encounter.
Alright, we can still call ourselves a melee build now.
I'll do the thinking. Alientus machines coming in hot. These are dangerous, 621. Knock them down and go into the
So we've done really well here. What I want to do is take out the next two grinder wheels as quickly as possible, then take out the two C weapons if I can. Unfortunately, that one's not out yet. Everything is so mobile in this mission. It's very difficult to connect, as you can see. Just not melee friendly at all. It's just, there are salvos coming from all directions all the time. So every time that your animation locked with melee is a liability to you. There we go, we got lucky there. Now unfortunately I did not stagger him before doing the pile bunker, so that was largely a wasted hit, but it's okay, we made it work for us in the end. I was a little worried at this point that I might not be able to make it, but we got lucky there, connected, hit, Zimmerman, and that's all she wrote.
Looks like the last of them. Nothing on the long-range
Not the most elegant,
You go home and get some rest, 621.
not the most elegant of missions, but we did it in S rank, and I was happy to be done with it personally. Operation Wallclimber, everybody's favorite NPC's introduction. V4 Rusty. Can't wait.
Your objective is to take the Liberation Front Fortress, the Wall. Show them you're worth the credits, 621.
So this is an interesting mission, especially as a melee build, because those animation locks once again make you very vulnerable to all the artillery that's firing at you from the wall, so you have to be very diligent in how you approach this one.
Main system.
It's one of the reasons that we have a high energy capacity generator.
Commence mission. We'll start by clearing the way for Arquebus.
So I think I changed my mind halfway through this. Yeah. Not gonna go through the front. Not a good idea.
There's heavy fire coming from up top. 621. Keep an eye out for cover.
I find this to be the best approach. Just take out the small guns, stay away from that big gun you can't attack up in the top right. Somehow that guy was already facing me. Did not see that coming.
Friendly cannons destroyed. The friendly MT squad will take care of the city. You take care of the BAWS Tetrapod MT, 621.
We're under attack! They're in the city!
It's just 1 AC. Arquebus. They're marking us.
So, didn't quite go according to plan. I was about to say that one of my favorite things about melee builds is how well they tackle tetrapods, but it's normally a little more elegant than that.
BAWS Tetrapod MT eliminated. That significantly reduces the
Once again, I think I did this mission before I knew about the urgency of doing things quickly, so I was just kind of taking my time running around. Not something I'd recommend doing in this case. Really, this is kind of just self-indulgent. You can run straight to Rusty and just do the boss encounter.
inside the wall. Be prepared for close
Whether or not you have to take out the tetrapod to get S rank, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll do it anyway, just to be sure.
This is V4 Rusty. You're fast. Guess you're sharper than they'd say. I'll have to step up my own game.
A numbered Vesper is an elite. Remember, even Balaam couldn't crack the wall. Don't count on him too much.
Enemy attack! Can you send backup? We're taking too much fire!
Those animation locks though. It's really, that's the biggest challenge, you know, that is the end boss of this game, is the animation locks. And the hitboxes.
Nearby. The target is close.
So I think this is our first real boss since the helicopter. I wouldn't call this one much of a filter, it's far more straightforward, especially when you have the right build for it. So we should be fine, I think. Especially with our good buddy, V4 Rusty. What could possibly go wrong?
I've dispatched a supply Sherpa. Make sure you resupply.
You Must be Raven. One of the infamous handler Walter's hounds. Interesting. You ready to climb the wall?
So I won't say that a melee build makes this easier than dual Zimmermans and dual stun needles, but it's probably one of the easier builds to do this with.
It won't be able to keep up.
But again, the animations provide a bit of an issue. Sometimes the dual lance will overshoot.
That's the stuff. Walter knows how to pick 'em.
Other times you struggle to direct it towards the rear of the unit, but for the most part, she's pretty good.
This is B4. Understood. Raven, I just got an update from Snail at command.
That did not quite go 100% to plan, but
We're both toast.
we're still within mission parameters for now.
But you'll have to finish without me. He's gone. So much for our decoy.
Much of the time you can finish this while Rusty is still here, so this is really outside of spec for me. So here we go, this should pretty much be it. There we go. The mighty Juggernaut.
Confirmed. Juggernaut destroyed. Operation Wallclimber is a success. That pilot, Rusty, it seems he knew who you really are. It won't matter. I've taken that contingency into account.
You are timed in these missions, but as you can see with this one, it's not particularly difficult. Just go from objective to objective and try to get to the boss and take out the boss as quickly as possible. Just don't use a checkpoint, that's the key. Retrieve the combat logs, one of the easier going missions in Chapter 1. The key is simply to grab all the logs, and that will generally ensure that you complete the mission
621.
with S rank.
You should be used to Rubicon by now. Time to take a break from shooting up the place.
So this will show you the location of all of the wrecks, all 8 of them, and if you grab them all by the time limit, you will be fine. Whether or not you have to finish ZE or not when she appears, I'm not sure, but you can just do it, especially if you're a melee build, it's quite easy. So here we go.
Mission. Search the nearby wrecks for combat logs recording engagements with V4 Rusty. This gives us some more insight about V4 skills.
If you need to read any of these, feel free to pause at the relevant timecode. I'm not going to leave them on the screen for people that just want to see the mission.
Some more evidence on what the coral situation looks like.
I like this mission because it reminds me of some of the early MechWarrior missions from the 90s and early 2000s. The layout is very similar in a way. Maybe a bit more dramatic and vertical than we were able to do back in the 90s.
That makes 3 logs. This is useful. We've got visuals on V4's AC assembly.
The AoE is one of the main reasons I like these songbirds, because melee is so single target focused and there are so many mobs in this game.
That's 5 logs.
Oh, it's another Juggernaut.
Very interesting. This could be worth something.
Okay, 3 more left. The route that I'm taking I find to be the most efficient. You can choose your own, of course, but I think this pretty much does it. We should finish this with time to spare.
Nothing we can sell here.
So this is where ZE pops out.
AC pilot, you're no comrade of ours, are you?
I am nobody's comrade.
You killed them all!
Operation Front Survivor.
I'm sorry, our ship. I couldn't keep my promise.
There we have the mighty melee rotation.
Enemy AC destroyed. Get back to work, 621.
Laser lance into pole bunker. Hard to defeat when it actually contacts.
This is the last
And there it is, last one.
This log is interesting. I'll make a copy. Nothing the corps need worry about. We've still got time, but we've checked out every promising wreck. That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
That was definitely one of the more chill missions to S rank in Chapter 1. Mission 12, Prisoner Rescue. So this is one that only comes up in New Game Plus.
Looks like switching sides at Gallia left an impression on the Liberation Front. Guess we have you to thank for this job.
I didn't know what criteria actually made for an S rank here, because I kept getting A ranks again and again and again, but it turns out it's tied to the helicopter's health that you're escorting. So you need to run ahead and take out all the enemies before they get a chance to attack the helicopter.
Commence mission. Escort the Rubicon Liberation Front's transport helicopter.
As you can see, I'm running ahead. I'm just going to try and take everyone out.
We have to rescue our captured comrades. Failure is not an option. Coral, I'm buying the Rubicon.
We're under attack! The Liberation Front choppers and an Escort AC! They must be here for their friends. Intercept.
As you can see, my movements are far more purposeful in this mission. I've done it a few times by this point, and I have a better idea of what S rank actually means in Armored Core 6. So I'm mindful that I'm not wasting my time with scanning for more enemies to take out ahead of time. So the
Commencing extraction of Comrade Zilyi.
621. Secure the area.
The flares denote all of the points that the chopper will land at, so you can go there ahead of time and clear the mission area. There are a few drones around here that's very important to get, because they have these kind of rail guns on them that hurt the chopper quite a bit.
You came for me.
These ones.
Okay. Still alive at least. A little rest, and I'll pay him back.
Cool.
Heading for the next site.
That was the important part. Those can absolutely decimate the helicopter. These are just MTs, nothing crazy. Kind of hard to get them all in one go. But we did, somehow. So we have one last checkpoint, and it's guarded by shielded cannons. So if we go at it from the front, we're going to have a very bad time. This is where the high energy capacity generator really comes into its own. I absolutely love it for running missions.
Raven, keep watch.
Energy capacity is everything in this game for me. It just makes it so much easier to cruise around and do the objectives. And also, melee attacks draw from this reservoir to enact themselves. Nice and easy, songbirds. And there we go. Missile launchers are out.
We're too late.
Damn it. Not mess up.
Heading to the last site. Just a little more, Raven.
Because we're always one checkpoint ahead,
Rubiconian's lifeline. He must have refused to talk. Nothing has really hit the helicopter so far. It's really at the end that we have to worry, because everything rushes us all at once. So this is me looking around, because I haven't done all the combat logs on this mission. I actually don't know where the last one is. I've not been able to find it. It's kind of difficult when you're up against the clock like this. I'm gonna have to look up a guide online to find what I'm missing. That's why I keep flying around. I know I've taken everything out. And I'm just like, where's that last combat log? Is there a wreck? Is there an enemy that's hidden? Just can't seem to find it. I'm sure it'll be in a really obvious place.
Extracting Comrade. Father, Domayan. He's the last one. We're counting on you, Raven.
I used to think it was about ammo conservation, not getting damaged, but it's not. It's about making sure the helicopter stays nice and pristine.
Father Dolmayan has been extracted.
Thank goodness you're safe, Father. Coral abide with Rubicon.
You don't know what you're saying, girl. There'll be nothing left but dying embers.
Mission accomplished. Leaving the combat area.
Dolmayan's an absolute hoot, as you can see.
621. New enemy confirmed.
That's a Red Gun's AC. Escorting a prison break all alone. You're daring, I'll give you that.
So,
I've cried bigger
not my
fish.
finest moment. It was like completely overshoot. But we managed to make it work for us, more or less.
Guns deputy commander. The brains to Michigan's muscle.
That is not the way you want to do this rotation.
Right shoulder ammunition end.
That took about 30 seconds longer to do than it should have, but
Confirmed. Gun 2 Nile is down.
so you can see why this is the most important section to ensure that the helicopter retains as much of its health as possible for. Now, for some reason, I've completely missed the fact that there's ACs up there. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I just fell asleep towards the end of that mission.
Thanks for the support, Raven.
That's around about as much HP as they can afford to lose. I'm really at the limit here, so now you know.
Confirmed. The chopper has exited the combat zone. Mission accomplished.
Just try to take out G2 a little bit more gracefully than I
A
did.
symbol of resolve. But mark my words, there will be nothing left but dying embers.
Alright, back to your lawn bowls, old man. Investigate BAWS Arsenal number 2.
Some advice before you go, 621. Expect the unexpected.
This was a mission I really didn't enjoy until I learned its ins and outs. So, some people consider this one of the most challenging to S rank in Chapter 1 because it's so speed sensitive. You have to run from point to point.
Commence
Like,
mission.
there is no time,
Investigate BAWS Arsenal number 2.
no time to waste.
I've been checking the perimeter, and I'm picking up nothing. What happened here? It's too quiet.
Watch how efficiently I move from point to point. You have to memorize where the units are.
621.
Don't waste an iota of time. Triple hit.
MDD. Encoded comms. Was that mech behind what happened here? 621. Continue the investigation. It's got you in its sights. 621. I think there's more than one this time. Use your scanner. Mark your targets to undermine their tricks.
There are a lot of these guys hidden, cloaked all over this level.
Unidentified machine down.
And you can find them if you simply use your scanner.
And stay sharp.
Just bypassing the obstacles. I like to open the door first and then circle back.
According to the blueprint, there's a massive water reservoir deep inside.
Remember, you
the
have to
arsenal.
move very quickly in this mission.
If there's anything waiting for us.
So back here, you get ambushed, or you ambush them. Nice. That was a good hit.
Good eye. See, I told you to expect the unexpected.
Having some run-ins with the movement here. And there we go. That's all 3 of them. You have to move straight through. You cannot afford to waste any time in this mission. Straight to the water reservoir.
Going 621.
So assault boost over the middle of it, and then just let your mech free fall, because that's the quickest way down. Right?
Response.
Bam, free fall.
621.
Don't boost,
Get down
just
and
free
take
fall.
A closer look. No doubt about it. This water. well all this time.
And they'll come down for you. You can get them ahead of time as they're coming down, but I wasn't good enough to do it this time.
Above you.
That went reasonably okay.
3 of them. Now, 4. You're outnumbered. Pick them off one by one, 6 to 1.
So I'm not too concerned about taking damage. As you can see, time is everything in this mission.
Another dealt with. Stay focused, 6
And this is where the high energy capacity really comes into its own. Times.
One remaining. Finish them off.
And that guy just disappeared on me, which is very frustrating. I was almost positive at this point that I wasn't going to get S rank. There's those hitboxes. Alright.
Seems that's the last of them. This wasn't a simple check-in after all. Head back and rest up, 621.
Remember, in this mission, speed is everything. I think a few seconds slower than that would not have been S rank. Mission 14, Obstruct the Mandatory Inspection. As much as I am not a fan of the last one, I love this version of it
What
completely.
stranger? A mandatory inspection or a job from another mercenary. Whatever happens, handle it. Just like you always do.
If you're wondering why you've never seen this mission, it's because it's a New Game Plus Plus exclusive. And that's when the really interesting story beats start coming in.
Activating combat mode.
So this is you doing the mission the other way around.
Eliminate the PCA's mandatory inspection squads.
I'm grateful for your support, Raven. We'll rendezvous later on.
Code 1-5. Unknown HC. Where did it come from? Eliminate it.
Subject guard sentry MTs. Watch out for their laser fire.
2 repair kits remaining.
Get some sick trance music in this version of the mission too. I mean, how can you complain? So obviously the mechs are a little bit more hardcore, but that's why we have our stun needle. So slightly different loadout this time.
We're clear. Keep moving, 621.
Once again, I have the loadout linked for you down below in the description. You can check it out in our 3 top Armored Core 6 builds.
Don't get that AC an inch.
Raven, don't underestimate those LCs. Though mass-produced, they're an essential component of the PCA suppression force.
Heavy fire. Looks like you're clear here.
I was right to count on the Wallclimber. Keep up the good work.
The Wallclimber.
I looked into this Kate. She's not even registered in the arena. Be ready for company if her plan to ambush the rear guard goes south.
Code 7-8. Requesting backup. Taking heavy fire. This position's under attack too. Presently exchanging funds.
Right on schedule. Looks like Kate's on the move.
Like all S-rank missions, time is of the essence. Not my finest move.
Confirmed. The inspection squad inside the arsenal has been wiped out. It looks like we beat Kate.
Raven, I've finished mopping up, but I have something to report. The PCA has made an unexpected move. Let's rendezvous for now.
So this part is where it gets really fun.
Updating marker data.
I really enjoy the way this mission finishes. What a sexy mech.
Raven the Wallclimber, I presume.
I'm jealous. Like, look at me, just like some weird orange construction yard guy.
As much as I'd love to stop and chat, I'm afraid we're rather pressed for time.
Attending scene. We've got a 3-1C on our hands. Lost the inspection team. Mercs made a big mistake. Active authorization received. You Raven!
Special Forces craft destroyed. 2 remaining.
So 2 Special Forces crafts and a cataphract at the same time. I absolutely love this part of the mission so much. Oh, other than the hit registration as per usual. But other than that, it's very good. Alright, Needle did the job where the pile driver missed. Now the cataphract. Ah, so fun.
1 hostile left. It's not over yet, 6-2.
He has managed to find a way to thwart my attack by putting his weak spot out of range. Here we go. Oof. That's the good stuff. Melee builds utterly melt cataphract. It's like not even a contest. Like this is just so good.
Can't stop them. Submitting. System query.
Confirmed. All Special Forces craft destroyed. We're done here, 621.
Excellent work, Raven. You've shown me a thing or two.
Enjoy the innuendo, and on to the last 2 missions of Chapter 1. Attack the Watchpoint with the legendary second filter boss, Bolteus. This is exciting.
You'll be going in under cover of darkness. Be ready for anything.
I'll say that melee builds are not my favorite for Bolteus. I much prefer the dual Zimmerman, dual stun needle. You can do him in like just over 20 seconds with that. But with melee, it becomes a little bit trickier because you have to somehow work around the animation lock.
It's go time, 621. Don't worry, not even the PCA would anticipate a solo independent mercenary.
I was using
Get in there and
songbirds.
get
There you
to
go.
work.
I think I changed my loadout for the second variant of this mission.
Leave no evidence. If anyone sees you, handle it.
Songbirds are fine though.
Code 1-5. Intruder sighted.
It's the poor man's stun needle,
It's just 1-8.
in a manner of speaking.
Who are they with? We can
Okay,
look into that
that
later.
did not quite go according to plan. But it's reasonably okay. So long as you're reasonably speedy on this mission, it won't be too much of a problem for you. Didn't quite make it in time. These cannons are somewhat annoying as a melee build,
I can't get through to HQ.
The cavalry
but
is
it's definitely a skill issue in this case, rather than a game issue. Okay, the whole animation locks of being stuck in midair as you're firing your weapons definitely don't help you in this mission very much at all. I don't envy Vati and those who've attempted a no-hit run through the game. I just
Enemy squad destroyed. Move on to the next area.
wouldn't have it in me.
2 repair kits remaining.
Where did that AC come from? What happened to the patrol squad?
So, take out the big cannons first, that's the key. They're the ones that are capable of doing the big damage,
Exposed to snipers from all quarters. Keep moving or they'll shoot you down.
as you can see. See if I can make it on time. Yeah. Good old Zimmerman.
Code 31C. We've taken critical damage.
Updating your marker data. Proceed in the direction indicated.
And that's it for the ads portion of the mission. It's all bosses from here.
You see that? That's the Watchpoint's control center. The target's inside. Make your way in.
Make sure you have a full energy bar before this cutscene begins. You don't want to start it with no energy. That would be
Attacking
unfortunate.
the Watchpoint. You're incorrigible, Handler Walter. How many of your dogs must I kill before you learn?
Sola. Basically fly right at him.
Pitiful dog. Feel sorry for me.
And that's the mighty Solar.
Confirmed. Enemy AC destroyed. Forget about him, 621. You did good today. Back to work.
Right, Pokey Stick wins again.
And destroy the target.
Not much to this really, just make sure to grab the resupply. Get some free AP, get some free ammo. And head on down. Destroy the control unit or generator or whatever it is, and enjoy the cutscene to come.
There. Destroy the device in the center.
And now, say hey to air.
Good job, 621. We're done here. Head back to base. Wait, no. 621, get out of there!
Who are you?
I'm the S-Rank Master.
An older type of augmented human, 4th generation. Have we made contact? I am Air, a Rubiconian. Please, you must wake up. Before your consciousness is forever scattered in the coral flow.
Augmented human C4621. Vital signs confirmed. Disabling autopilot. Establishing comms link with him.
Raven. I've identified an approaching enemy. I'll synchronize with your brainwaves.
Voltaeus.
Maintain contact to support you.
Let's go. Some nice trance going on too.
Reactivating combat.
You know it's getting good when it's trance. Wow, that was not my finest moment. I had the pile driver equipped and I thought I had the laser lance. So, if I recall, I wasn't particularly happy at this moment. I think there was potentially some swearing happening in Bosnian. When the swearing happens in Bosnian, you know, that's when the anger is really at a peak.
I'm taking your comms link offline for now. That massive dose of coral really killed you. Please.
So I think this shows you why melee builds are perhaps not ideal for Voltaeus. And I'm just being a bit idiotic here as well. Didn't quite manage my pulse armor on time either. This is a really textbook way how not to fight Voltaeus. So do as I say, not as I do, gents. So we'll do better next time. There's an alternate of this mission coming up, so I'll show you how to actually do it there.
The enemy can't take much more.
Come on. The worst is when they're stuck on this tiny level of health and you just can't whittle them down no matter what you do. So we scraped our way through, but I would not recommend learning from this run. The mighty Voltaeus.
Enemy systems down. It's silent.
Amazing that this is still S rank.
Raven. You need rest. But first a warning. The coral surge you were swept up in? That was just a glimpse. A premonition of the storm of flame that will burn Rubicon.
And now for our very final mission, the same one again, but the New Game Plus Plus alternate version, Attack the Watchpoint. You can see the newer permutation of our build.
Going in under cover of darkness. Be ready for anything.
This one is more or less the same thing, but you simply get ambushed by a few more enemies with Solo. This is truly the ugliest mech I've ever built, so I do apologize in advance. But it's function over form, right? Really nicely well endowed chest there though, it's like it's got one of them conical 1960s bras going on. Look at that. That is some...
Get in there and get to work.
Impressive. Where's the core with the Arnold chest, you know? Where do I get the pecs? See, we're packing the stun needle and the ephemera chest, I think.
It's just one AC. Who are they with? We can look into that later.
The reason for that is amazing energy capacity, and we also get decent AP, I want to say.
I can't get through to HQ.
Without sacrificing too much movement. So having the AP at about 10,000 makes the game reasonably easy. Anything at about 10,000 is... it'll get you through. Generally the goal is don't get hit. That'll get you through the game more so than having a lot of AP. You can see I've done this a few more times by this point. My movements are so much more purposeful in these high level missions. And again, if you haven't seen this variant of it, do not worry, it is a New Game Plus Plus exclusive. That means you have to play it for the third time, the campaign.
Code 1-8, all units deploy for combat.
I've learned, use the shotgun. Use the shotgun and keep moving.
Keep moving or they'll shoot you down.
I'm wasting way less time. I have a far better grasp on what I'm doing, so if you're going to learn from any run, do not learn from the last one, please. Please learn from this one.
Updating your marker data. Proceed in the direction indicated. You see that? That's the Watchpoint's control center. The target's inside. Make your way in.
That's how I make up for the conical bra.
Attacking a Watchpoint. You're incorrigible, Handler Walter. How many of your dogs must I kill before you learn? You.
621, stop. Behind you.
Handler Walter. I'll be coming for you next. First, the dog.
C-1249. Sula. He's an independent mercenary who survived first-gen augmentation.
A few more of them hit registration issues. Again, in these kind of close quarters environments, when you're being attacked from all sides, it can become pretty dire sometimes, especially if the game does things like that to you. It really feels like potluck a lot of the time, and that's one of the things I don't enjoy about this sort of Souls-like movement, if you will. It's the notion that you're at the mercy of the animation designers rather than your own skill. At least that's my take on it. I'm used to having unparalleled freedom of movement, Quake 3 style, you know? So anytime I do go down, it's simply because I suck. Rather than, you know, the frame timing wasn't correct or something to that effect. So that's all there is to this variant.
You're clear.
Business as usual after this.
Forget about them, 621. Back to work. Penetrate the control center and destroy the target.
I will. I will drag my thick chest down there and destroy the heck out of your target.
There. Destroy the device in the center.
So we'll let the cinematics run through again, just for those who've not seen them. But more or less they're going to play out exactly the same way until we introduce the mighty Bolteus one more time.
We're done here. Head back to base. Wait, no. 621, get out of there!
Who are you?
The new game plus master.
An older type of augmented human, 4th generation. Have we made contact? I am Air, a Rubiconian. Please, you must wake up. Before your consciousness is forever scattered in the coral flow.
Augmented human C4621. Vital signs confirmed. Disabling autopilot. Establishing
I'm
link with
so sorry about the aesthetics of this build. Like, really, whenever I look at it, I just...
Identified an approaching enemy.
This is not what I dreamed of when I had my blitzy melee build in mind.
I'll synchronize with your brainwaves.
I'll make up for it by crushing Bolteus.
Make contact to support you.
Alright, Air, let's do this. Straight in, here we go. Fire the salvo, fire the other salvo, and then dodge the missiles this time. Yes, yes. Pretend that you know what you're doing. So the stun needle is so good against Bolteus. So good.
I'm taking your comms link offline for now.
That's not so good.
Killed you. Please, you have to focus on learning this.
Took one for the team there, so we almost got Bolteus.
Raven, get clear.
Possible if I'd used my shotgun, I would have been able to take him out before he went into his second form. I've never managed to do it. This was the closest I got in this one battle. And it makes me wonder, like, would that have been the record? Would I have been able to take him out in under 20 seconds? Still, close enough, I would say. And there it is. S rank, Chapter 1, every single mission, New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus included. Please let me know if you enjoyed this, leave a comment, leave a like.
It's silent.
If you think we've earned it, please leave us a sub. We are a very new channel and every subscriber counts. And if you want to see more of these, do let me know. Obviously, if people are interested, we'll follow up with the other chapters.
Raven, you need rest.
I think I do. Yeah.
But first, a warning. The coral surge you were swept up in.
I'm so sorry. That just
That
looks...
was just a glimpse.
My God.
A premonition of the storm of flame that will burn Rubicon.